All right. Good day, everyone. It's 2 p.m. Finnish time, 1 p.m. CET, and greetings from Helsinki, Finland, and actually Sanoma Pro office here in Ruoholahti. My name is Aleksi Tarvainen, and I'm very excited to host this panel discussion event today about a very interesting topic, which is the vision of lifelong learning. As my main task here at itslearning Finnish organization is taking care of our new business development, both in higher education and also vocational education markets. This event is scheduled to last for about 45 minutes, and I would like to encourage you to ask questions via that small Ask a Question tab in GoToWebinar control panel at any time during the session. My colleague Frödis Hamre from our Bergen office is actually monitoring the questions, and we will also have the Q&A session at the end of this event. Kindly note that this event is being recorded, and we will also distribute the recording for all attendees afterwards. Today's discussion topic is the vision of lifelong learning in the Nordics. We will also try to find some answers about how learning management system or LMS solution can support in building better lifelong learning concepts, especially in higher educational sector. This is actually something that's a really important topic in every single dialogue with higher ed institutions. And we can also see that there are several national projects going on what are targeting to act as enablers in developing lifelong learning concepts and fundamentals, especially in Finland. We're also happy to notice that the requirements regarding lifelong learning supportive technology are actually bumping up also in multinational RFI processes and other commercial discussions. So, to understand a bit better and give an overview for our audience, I am happy to introduce our panelists for today. Vanya, please, next slide. And one more. Thank you. We have three professionals on board who have extensive experience in developing the lifelong learning concepts and also building different kind of MOOC courses. So let's start with Finland and move on to beautiful city of Kouvola. Tuija Arola, warmly welcome on board, and could you kindly introduce yourself? Thank you.
Thank you, Aleksi. My name is Tuija Arola, and I come from Kouvola Vocational Institute Educo, and Kouvola is situated in southeast Finland.
Thank you, Tuija. And I believe you have some small presentation prepared also.
Yes, if you would be so kind, and so here is the name and logo of our school, and let's go to the next one, please. Here is some background information about our institute. We have yearly about 7,000 students in various training activities. Our staff is exactly 315 experts at the moment, and our turnover is approximately 30 million this year. And in international circles, we are a member of Education Finland. We have the Erasmus Plus accreditation, and we also are members of the Skills Finland. And then the next slide, please. We offer quite a versatile collection of training programs and qualifications. Quite many of them are very technologically oriented, and if I would say something which we have really specialized in is, for example, we are the only ones in Finland who are training helicopter mechanics, and we also have a motorsport academy where we train motorsport mechanics for both rally and formula teams. and then the next one. So as I said, we praise ourselves in using technology in all our training programs, from humanoid robots in teaching our immigrant students Finnish to using VR and smart technology and drones. And then the last one, please. So what we are doing at the moment is we are constructing and developing our eCampus, and as you see, itslearning is the sort of the home of our eCampus, and all our digital and technical tools will be found in our itslearning home or eCampus. So that's a few words about Educo. Thank you.
Thank you, Tuija. May I ask one question? How your daily work is related into developing the lifelong learning concepts in Educo?
As a development director, I'm in charge of our pedagogical development work and innovations and quality work and also digitalization. So in that sense, I'm in charge.
So you are in the core.
Yeah, I believe so.
Thank you very much, Tuija. And then we move to Norway. Magnus, how's the weather today?
It's cloudy, but not raining at the moment.
Okay. Nice to have you on board, and kindly introduce yourself.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Magnus Nord. I'm an associate professor at Østfold University College, and my field of expertise is ICT and learning. I've been working at the university for 27 years, actually. I also is professor too at the University of Bergen, when I have the responsibility for teaching online learning to staff. Yes, please, next slide. In Norway, I'm known as Mr. Sharing. I think it's a very good idea to share what we are making. Next, please. Most of my work is shared by YouTube videos, and I'm very proud that my Norwegian YouTube videos is viewed 1.5 million times. And I'm dyslexic, so I prefer using educational videos. And all videos have subtitles, and because we publish them in YouTube, you have auto-translation into any language. Next, please. Since 2014, I've been managing development of 11 MOOC courses, 10 of them with course credit. And we have gotten some experience doing this work of making new courses. And the latest course is about making online courses. Next, please. As I said, I'm very like to share what we're doing, and as it is MOOCs, it's open as well. So we have also open versions of these MOOCs. So if you want to look into some of our developing work, you are welcome by clicking some of this link, and I believe the presentation will be available later on. Next, please. As a researcher, I'm working a lot with video-based learning. I have 4 published articles. The first one is about the ideal lengths of educational videos. The next one is about how actually does the students use the videos. The next one is about one back, please. One slide back, please. The next one is about how does the student engage with different learning materials. What do they prefer? Do you prefer videos? Do you prefer text? So on. And the latest article, actually published last week, is about how we use reflection videos as an exam in our courses. Next, please. My latest project, research project, is actually 3 articles in the making. It's about making an taxonomy of online videos, and we're making a framework that could help people in the discussion of quality of different kind of educational videos and to show what is possible to make in their own making of videos. Next, please. And 2 years ago, we got a lot of money, 4.5 million Norwegian crowns, to developing a new 30 credits course from the government, as we called MOOC, about making MOOCs, theory and practice. Next, please. And what may be interesting for others, if you go to the last slide, is that we actually have made a module for based on the development of our 11 MOOCs. So we made a framework that we think is universal and can be used in nearly all subjects. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Magnus. So you are basically known in Norway as Mr. MOOC as well.
Yes.
Welcome. And then we move back to Finland, and we have Michael Keeney here as well. Warmly welcome, Michael. How are you doing today?
Thanks very much, Alexei. I'm sure that I'm enjoying the Helsinki weather as much as you are at this point.
Yeah.
Which is to say, it's nice to be here. And thanks for having me. As you can probably tell from my Helsinki accent, I'm originally from Scotland, and I've been working here now in Finland for 22 years in higher education, and recently getting to grips with the world of distance learning and digitalization, and exploring exactly what Magnus was presenting in his presentation. The reason I'm here today is revealed in the next slide. It's to do with an international project titled SDG for Biz, namely the 17 Sustainable Development Goals produced by the United Nations are being used as a means by which to develop education about identifying and exploiting business opportunities that are compatible with, consistent with, and arise out of the Sustainable Development Goals. And the slide here summarizes not only the different partner institutions, which cover 6 different countries, but also the different types of business opportunities that are in process of being identified and related ideas being developed in the learning materials that we are preparing in partnership with itslearning. So this has been a very hands-on process of becoming acquainted with some very cutting-edge technology and using that to create as much as possible an accessible learning base for people who are wanting to develop their understanding regarding how to be sustainable in business and how particularly to identify and exploit sustainable business opportunities consistent with the development goals. You take us to the next slide. Thank you. And the courses that we're developing are basically listed here. The idea being that almost all participants would go through module number 1, which is a kind of basic how to with respect to entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship skills. And then having completed that particular 5-credit module, there is a choice to be made with respect to specialization, and it's intended that professionals in education and in business would be choosing the next module on the basis of whichever sector they are operating in. So I've been personally contributing to the content development in modules 2 and to a lesser extent module 5, and colleagues of mine together with people from other institutions involved in the project have been focusing on how to apply sustainable development ideas in the context of cities, urban development and planning. Energy and materials also very important, which to some extent overlaps with what I've been doing in food and agriculture, and health and well-being in addition, very important area. So if we go to the next slide, if what I've presented very briefly at this point is of interest to anybody, then you're very welcome to email me. And if you're particularly interested in having a look at any of these materials and even contributing to a little survey based on your own experience of the materials, then I'd be delighted to hear from you. And we're in the process of rolling out these materials as we speak. They should be ready by the end of this week. So next week at the earliest, we'll be able to enable you to see what we've been doing and help us to make them even better. So thanks for the invitation. Thanks for your participation today, and I look forward to moving on to the next phase of our webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. At some points your voice wasn't so clear, so maybe you can adjust a little bit your mic. I know when we did the sound check everything sounded perfect, but technology sometimes works like this. So let's move forward and let's move to discussion of today's topic, and let's try to find out what is the vision of lifelong learning in the Nordics, and also let's try to find out how technology, and especially LMS technology, can support those ideas. Lifelong learning is something that has been a very active topic since the 90s. And Magnus, how would you describe the importance of the topic in the modern society today, and why?
I think in a very busy everyday life, it's difficult to find the time on the time schedule to actually study. It's more the all educational models that you have to change your schedule to schooling, that schooling should change the schedule into your everyday life. So what we have thought at Espen University College, that we have gone for asynchronous educations, because then you have the opportunity to study when you have the time. But there is a problem there, because we also have the curse of flexibility, because procrastination, that you push it further down the lane when it's so flexible. So what I think is very important to get a good working online course for lifelong learning is that you're going to have some carrots that provide you with motivation for starting and learning. And then we have different kind of carrots in our online courses to get the students actually to finish the courses. So flexibility, but with motivation.
And it will be very interesting to hear about those carrots a bit further in the discussion. But let's move to Tuija. What do you think? How important is the topic in the modern society, and why?
Well, actually, it's extremely important in Finland, and we have also this reform that supports this kind of change in learning. And I think that technology is one key answer to lifelong learning. And actually in Finland we don't that much anymore use the term lifelong learning. They are talking now, and we are talking now, about continuous learning. So using technology, we can give the opportunities for people in various situations in their life to study regardless of time and place. And when technology is used well, it will also support people with learning difficulties and so forth. And I see that, or I think that in for example, digitalization offers a good toolbox of pedagogical things that you might want to use, as Magnus said, also for increasing the motivation.
Yeah, Thank you. And Michael, you have been working in cross-cultural project as well. How do you see that the importance of this topic in the modern society?
Certainly important. Is the sound quality okay, by the way?
I think it's a little bit better, but not perfect.
Try my best. Certainly important, and one of the things that we have identified as being particularly important is, and consistent with the flexibility idea, is accessibility, and that we would be able to enable learners to access using whatever technology they might have, including their mobile phones, and that they would be able to use these instruments in any networked arena, any networked area, so that they could use that technology without having to carry around something or more bulky, less convenient. And basically, I would see that actually as one of the carrots, that it's more attractive because more accessible to the learner. So definitely going to be more important as change becomes even more accelerated, and the emphasis therefore even on supposedly fully qualified adult professionals will be to update and revise and on occasion even transform existing skills levels in order to be able to meet the challenges of this accelerating change process.
Yeah. If we move a bit further and think about the educational organizations, what are the motivators on organizational level you can identify why schools and higher educational institutions needs to develop the lifelong learning concepts further? And maybe Tuija, you can start with Tuija.
Okay, well, since I'm representing vocational education, our main task and the reason why we exist is to produce, if you can use that word, to produce a skilled workforce. So I think that, for example, at the moment, more than 60% of our students are not youngsters. They are adults, working life people, career changers, and so forth. So I think that we have to develop our offerings and our training programs to serve the companies, and I think also in my thinking I would connect employment and meaningful life. So I think that continuous learning or lifelong learning will both promote your employment and career opportunities, but also promote the meaningful life, because when you develop yourself and when you get the chance to learn new things, I think it will sort of increase your vocational self-esteem and your self-esteem generally. So it's important for the person and the working life and the Finnish society, because we want to have the profile of knowledge society.
Yes, so everything is linked together.
Yep.
What about if we move to Metropolia and Michael? How do you see this from Metropolia point of view and higher ed?
Well, it's very much in every education institution's interests to look as if they know what they're talking about when they are discussing education, and to be unaware, to be not involved, to be ignoring what is happening in this field would not be a good advertisement for the institution. So to be recognised today as a centre of learning, centres of learning have to be capable of dealing with this increasing demand of, if you like, well, certainly adult lifelong continuous learning, and respond accordingly by creating packages and opportunities for people who are already in busy professional positions to enable them to continuously update and learn. In addition to that, there would also be opportunities involving people who may not be in work at the moment but are looking to re-enter the workforce. And again, 4 years doing a typical bachelor's degree might not be the best way to respond to that challenge. So something rather more fast track and specifically tailored, especially if we can identify particular sectors that would be looking to recruit, then yeah, by all means, this is very much part of the future of higher education.
Yes, thank you, Michael. And what about Norway? What kind of motivational factors on organizational level you have there?
First of all, it's our responsibility to deliver the 21st century skill for the society. So I think we have to have a disruptive innovation in education to can provide these needs from the all academic perspective is coming to campus, and I think that's very difficult in the new world, and as we see in Corona, for example, as we see in earlier, I delivered education for my region. Now I deliver courses for Norway and the Nordics. So we have to change over and have a new look on what is other possibilities to deliver education with high quality.
Thank you. And since you mentioned the high quality, I would actually want to ask that how do you see that educational institutions can gain a competitive advantage by developing the lifelong learning concepts and that quality even further? Magnus, you can continue.
Our great for us, what's really good for universities that we have the big carrot that is course credit. So for delivering courses with course credits, and today it's course credit that gives credit in payment and so on. So for private sector, it's they have not the advantage that we have in the universities. A few years ago, during the pandemic, I did a MOOC for unemployed and laid off workers. And I felt a big change delivering these kind of courses to this population, because the motivation wasn't that high because there was no course credit involved. So I think we, as an academics institution, I think we go to play our best hand and deliver good quality online courses with course credit.
What do you think, Michael, in Finland?
Yes, I think that's the right way to go. And the vast majority of people working in academic life as academics are very enthusiastic content creators anyway. It's one of the most satisfying elements of the job that you are able to gather together information in such a way that it is interesting and engaging and even inspiring to people who want to learn. And the technological options that are available to us now are greater than they've ever been, and we can expect them to continue developing even more. So as far as the professionals themselves are concerned, there are certainly plenty of those carrots to motivate them to respond to the opportunities and challenges that the current environment is presenting us. So yeah, I think we don't have to sacrifice quality. In fact, we can even enhance quality by using the technology properly.
Yeah.
And Tuija, I know you have invested, as in your introduction also said, quite a lot to digital technology. So how do you see how you as an organization gain competitive advantage on vocational level?
Well, that is maybe the basic idea of creating the e-campus, to be able to reach people not just in Kouvola area or Kymi area, but nationally and even internationally. And thinking about the quality, it is based on the dialogue with the working life. We want to make sure that we teach the right things. We have to be extremely flexible. We can't use years for designing something. We have to react very fast. And actually, I would say that we should know what the working life needs before they know what they need to be able to provide the workforce in the right time. So I think that the e-campus is one answer to all this.
So, and you are gaining the agility via e-campus as well?
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah. Let's move then to more or less to MOOCs and other so-called end products what the higher educational institutions have or has in their portfolio when we talk about the lifelong learning. And let's talk about the learning experience. How important do you see that developing the best possible learning experience is the key to provide both attractive and motivational lifelong learning concepts for the students? Michael, what do you think about this?
This is a very important concept, which I think especially in countries where education still today is largely free for everybody or paid for by the taxpayer, it's easy to forget about the importance of the learning experience and the student experience. And as governments seek ways to save money, which is likely to intensify in the near future, I think we're going to see more countries and systems moving towards a more fee-paying model, which means that the students will then very much more directly understand that it's their money that's on the line here, so what are they getting for it? And for that reason, having the student experience, having the learner's experience at the centre of the design process and then the delivery process and then all the ancillary supporting processes that go into enhancing hopefully the student experience, this is going to be much more important. It's already important, but the recognition of its importance will inevitably increase because there are plenty of opportunities out there. There's lots of choice, and for example, if I, let's say, were to go back to Glasgow, I could still log into the e-campus in Kouvola, because what I find there is of much more relevance to me, and it's much more enjoyable to learn using that experience rather than to find something that's been less developed, but it's local. So this is the scale of the challenge and the opportunity, I think, that the technology is providing us with.
Yeah, so you mean that the expectations what students have, it is very important to be met via the learning experience what they get?
I think that the expectations are likely to increase as word gets out of good experiences elsewhere. So there will be, I think, increase of expectations based on that. And it's therefore very much for the institutions themselves to respond accordingly. And maybe from time to time expectations need to be adjusted downward a little bit because we're not depending especially on the subject areas, then certain technologies might be more appropriate compared to others. But overall, there should be strong upward pressure on institutions to meet the expectations of learners, because there will be even more justifiable reasons for those expectations to be high as a result of what people hear about from other people's experiences and the simple experience of technology already, that they know it can do certain things because they've used it in other contexts. Why are we not using it?
Yeah, yeah. Magnus, learning experience or learners experience and the MOOCs in Norway.
I think that's the biggest question of all. We call it learning design. How to develop a good learning design for the courses. And I think the mistake many people makes when they're making online courses, that they have a campus course and they want to transmit it over to an online course. And I think it's very important to understand that online education is not the same success factors as in traditional campus education. So what we usually say, you have to throw all of it out and rebuild the course from the bottom up. Because if you have a half-finished campus course that maybe didn't work as well as you hoped to, and you transmit it over to online courses and build up on that foundation, you awfully make fails. So I usually say that we learn from our mistakes, and I've developed online courses now for 10 years, and you learn much about what works and what didn't work by asking the students during the course and doing revisions of the course based on that feedback that you get from the students. That's a very important role of always working to get the quality better. For example, one of my first failures that I learned very much from was back in 2013, that I tried to make a hybrid course with students online and students on campus at the same time. I made an extremely cool classroom with lots of gadgets and all the students' faces on the walls. It failed totally because it was flexible. I had 100 students and 95 of them wanted to be online asynchronous students. One wanted to be synchronous students online, and 4 students just wanted to be campus students. So learning from your mistakes, try out things, and learn from your mistakes. I think that's a good motto.
Yeah, and probably technology or the platform what are used to develop the learning experience within the MOOCs, for example, it has also a pretty big role in gaining that level what you are achieving.
Absolutely, because then you go to in our courses, all the course materials in the LMS. So you get a lot of exciting learning analytics out of it. For example, which pages doesn't the students use? Then you have to revise these pages or delete them.
Yeah, exactly. Tuija, learning experience.
Well, actually, learning experience, I think what students find good is that it's based on contextuality, so and problem-based learning, so that when you study, you can use it for something, not just studying for studying, but you can connect it to something in the real life, and you can see how useful it is, and also I think that it's very important for students, even if they are on e-learning courses, to be a part of the learning community. So there should be quite a lot of interaction, feedback from the teachers, and also counseling if needed. So in that sense, the learning analytics that Magnus mentioned is one key tool, for example, in itslearning, so that all the teachers use it, and even our counselors can use to see how everything is proceeding.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
I think, yeah, sorry.
Oh, please. Tuija.
I was just going to end by saying that our main task is to provide meaningful learning.
Yeah, that's very well said. I can see that time is running, and actually we have 4 minutes left, but I want to ask the final question, and very quick round from everyone. And Michael can start, but in your opinion, how should an LMS partner support the concept of lifelong learning in higher ed? What is the most important thing what LMS solution should do?
Enhance user experience.
Thank you. Tuija.
I think that it should be what you have been to us, a good development partner, listen to our needs and adjust.
Thank you.
And that's what happened.
Magnus.
I'm the same as Tuija. You have to make changes when we make new findings that we should have, for example, peer review or something, that you will be able to give us the tool and revising the tools as it works in a pedagogical way.
Yeah, thank you. We have had a very interesting discussion, and the time just flew very fast. Actually, I have a ton of different kind of extra questions and things to ask, but unfortunately we're running out of time. So Frøydis Bergen, Norway, do we have any questions from the audience at this point?
There was mostly one, which Magnus already partially answered. It was about what about including face-to-face, including the social part of learning and so on. And you already described this as your failure. Do you see any opportunities for some kind of hybrid learning that could be a success?
The word hybrid learning I don't like very much, but it's not true that we don't have face-to-face in our courses, because we have 25 hours a week video guidance. So what we think is important that when you're an online student, when you meet a point in the study where you don't get along, go further by yourself, the support, the guidance should not be far away. So we have 24 hours a week guidance on video meetings for our students. And we have looked into the learning analytics from the LMS to find out which part of the day are the students actually studying. Because we asked the students and they didn't give the right question, but because we got the analytics of the LMS. So we choose to have from 11 to 1 o'clock in the beginning of the day, and from 8 o'clock to 21 in the evenings. And we also have guidance in the weekends, because that's part is where our students actually study. So it's a lot of interaction in the discussion forums, in the Facebook groups, in the video meetings, but the education, the handing over of education is mainly asynchronous in our courses.
Thanks. And I was wondering from my own part as well. Just let me check my notes here. I seem to remember, Magnus, that you were also part of a session during Læringsfestivalen in Trondheim in May, where we discussed MOOCs and also the concept of micro-credentials. So what you showed in your introduction today, you have courses that are 7.5 or 15 study points, which are quite big scoped courses. And I seem to remember that you had some issues with your institution approving smaller courses. How do you see that balancing with people taking online courses as just a partial kind of to fill up their competency and not necessarily for a degree or a bigger study?
As we see on what's developing at the world at the moment, micro-credentials is very, very important. But the old thinking of our university is that we can't provide smaller parts than 15 course credits. So we try to develop them into, we like to have to 1 or 2 course credits, but we have had actually one course that we divided into 5 course credits And in Norway, many of the MOOCs have course credits. In the world, large, mainly it's not course credits, and it's difficult to move course credits out of the EU. So that is the big challenge for us at the moment, organizing the course credit in a credible way, because you have to search into the stock courses, and we have to deliver the course credit in the diploma afterwards. That is a big issue for us at the moment. But of course we want it, because that will give the flexibility for the learner, that they can divide and make their own courses, and not me as a person, we as a school deciding what parts do you need in your development.
Yeah, so my question would then be the same for Toya and for Michael, is also that, do your institutions offer courses with credits, and do you also do the micro-credentials, or are you focused on bigger courses?
In vocational education, micro-credentials are becoming a part of the funding in the next few years. At the moment, the studies are connected to modules and qualifications, but yes, of course, they can be divided to smaller parts. So we are doing that also at the moment, but the funding is not yet so clear. So they are basically funded, for example, by the companies or individual people.
I can tell you we had in the MOOCs in Norway collaborate a lot, and we looked at that you can have don't remember the right name, also small diplomas for completing different courses that was not course credit. And we went out to private sector and asked the leaders, would you think that this was good on your CV, that you had these small courses with only diplomas? And all of the leaders said, no, we want course credit when we're going to hire you. So badges was the word I was looking for. We was looking on doing a national badges collection, that you can collect your badges from different institutions and present that when you're going to get hired someplace. But the leaders on the companies was not interested in badges, only course credit.
Yeah, the situation at Metropolia and higher education more generally, I would say, is very similar to what we have described. The institutions are very much designed at the moment to deliver the degrees and the large courses, and what is changing that slowly at the moment is the greater emphasis on external income generation, which means that there is more work being done in contract education with external clients. So that's already slowly but surely changing aspects of the culture. But I think we have a long way to go in order to reach the sort of world that this webinar is in ways is already preparing us for. But the institutions will take time to change. That can be accelerated, of course, if the law would change, because certainly in Finland, the education law is very prescriptive, and it also places strict limitations on what institutions can do. So if you like, a more entrepreneurial approach, I think, would be very much possible, and there would be people able to deliver that, but the law needs to change. But I think the change is inevitable. So I think for our purposes, it is good to be prepared for that change.
Thank you. Over to you, Alexi.
Thank you, Fröydis. So I can say that we're actually already 5 minutes over time. And as a quick summary, thank you for this discussion. I mean, this has been very, very interesting and fruitful. And I can see that the landscape is definitely like changing all the time around the lifelong learning, around the MOOCs, and the technology can definitely support to get better learning experience or gain competitive advantage at the higher ed institutions, for example, and this has been very interesting discussion. Once again, thank you, and I wish you a very nice continuum of the week. Bye-bye.
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 Bye.